Hi, Matt.
Um,
Hello. So you're from Florida, the state, right? So what was your perspective on the UM FSU rivalry? Um, just when you were growing up before you came here.
the same, like anyone else from Florida, it's obviously, I'm from Central Florida. Obviously, I didn't grow up being a fan of either Florida State or of UM, when I was a child and whatnot. But being in close proximity to both Tallahassee and the city of Miami and Coral Gables, you see the tradition of what UM versus FSU is and what that means to Miami fans, what that means to Florida State fans, and how far that goes back, and that kind of hatred, and just is a great rivalry. It's an excellent rivalry, and I've been seeing that since I was a little kid, and that's continued to grow, develop, and it's awesome. So I'm excited for this week, as you can assume. Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. And then also when you were at UCF, I think you guys played the war on I-4,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so what was that like? I mean, that was your own rivalry, right? What was that like for you? How are they? I'm just trying to figure out how are they different? How are they more special? What was that game like?
I think every program, when I was at UCF in South Florida was kind of, especially at the time, our rivals, and they hated us, and really it was a proximity thing, right? Tampa is pretty close to Orlando, and the war on I-4 stems from you take I-4 from Orlando, which is right next to UCF, and you take that into Tampa, right? You can get to USF and UCF basically just on I-4. So a proximity thing, and then obviously if you know the history, like I would, it doesn't matter, but there's stuff that goes into that goes a little bit outside of football and whatnot that would feed into that rivalry. But I think every school, when I was at UCF, we hated USF, South Florida. South Florida hated us, and that was our rivalry. And then here, FSU and UM was obviously a deep rooted, long term, historical, traditional rivalry. And this is Florida State and Miami is obviously it's a more prevalent thing. So that rivalry, runs even deeper because it's more known on a national stage, and there's a lot more history that runs back into it. But even at no matter how big, how small the school, whoever your rivals are, if you attend that school or if you're a fan of that school, it's kind of the same feeling.
Yeah, I love that. And the last thing is, who just you might have told us this before. I don't know. Like, who were you a fan of? Were you a fan of a certain college team growing up? Was it UCF, or who were you a fan of?
UCF most. I mean, my mom and dad's house and the house that I grew up in was probably 10 minutes from Central Florida from UCF, and my high school was probably 4 minutes. My dad went there. It was the local school, and then my dad going there, and he played football at UCF briefly for a few years, and I had some other family that played there a little bit after. But we were so close, and my dad attending there, and my mom attending there briefly, and my older sister is a graduate of there, so that's growing up. We went to UCF games, and I was a UCF fan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next question for Matt comes from Matt Stradell of Kane Sport. Matt.
Yeah, hey Matt. I guess the offense has struggled a little bit recently. What signs do you maybe see in practice this week that things can get back right on Saturday? Because you guys are probably gonna have to score some points to win this game.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have to score points. Obviously, Florida State has an excellent offense, an excellent defense, a really good football team. Number 4 team in the country, and all across the field, both sides of the ball, they got ball players, they got good coaching staff, they got good schemes on both sides of the ball, and that's what you would expect from a team that is undefeated 9-0 and the number 4 team in the country and has had the success that they've had. For us, it's the same. It's the same thing every week. It's when we're out on the practice field. Obviously, we trust and we know that. Coach Dawson and Coach Guidry, right? They're gonna deliver game plans that are gonna match what we need to do and what can expose, Florida State in this case, their side of the ball, whatever it may be. And then for us as players, and what I'd be more intimate with is, when we're on the practice field, you just got to remain focused. You got to progress, right? And take advantage of the game plan. Everyone on the field, not just the quarterback, not just the center, not just this receiver, this running back, this O-lineman, this tight end. We all got to understand from offensive perspective, what Florida State in this case is doing on the defense side of the ball, what they like to do, and schematically, and obviously, we know that, and we learn more and more as you practice and as you watch more film throughout the week and learn more from Coach Mirabal and Coach Dawson, whoever that may be. We got to keep focused and get after it every day on the football field. Like today, Tuesday and Wednesday are done now. So those are, the bigger loads, more physical, padded, longer practices. And that's a great thing. The great thing for getting physically prepared as well as mentally prepared. And then, tomorrow will be a little bit more toned back in the sense of, you're not in the shoulder pad smacking each other. It's a little bit shorter. It's more of a mental day. Same thing Friday, more of a walkthrough. But it's just coming to work every day with the right head on and remaining focused, trusting each other, picking each other up when someone's down, no matter who that may be, and doing whatever it is necessary to be prepared for Saturday.
Yeah, and as a quick follow-up, how do they have a strength, obviously they have a great defensive line, Jared Verse, et cetera. How do you think your offensive line, which has done so well, matches up with their defensive line?
They do have a really good defensive line across the board, and they have a really good defense. They have really good linebackers. They obviously, like you said, Jared Verse playing defensive end is kind of the name that sticks out the most if you look in the media and whatnot. But their whole defensive line, they're 4 starters, and the next 2 guys that kind of rotate the most on the interior. They keep their ends in most of the time, but they will rotate here and there. And then they're starting Mike, they're starting Will, the Sam that they sub in, and the backup Mike and Will that will come in. They're all really good players, and they run a good scheme. They run it sound. It's not super complex, but they don't mind if you know what they're doing. They are going to try to hit you sometimes with stuff, but they're more one of those defenses that wants to line up and play football. It ain't like this is what we're talking about kind of in the room leading up to this week on Sunday, or Monday. NC State last week is running 3-3-5, and a lot of what that defensive scheme is hey, can we kind of trick these guys? Can we go? Obviously, you're going to be physical and try to beat guys physically, but there's a lot more mental side when you're playing a defense like North Carolina State compared to a defense like Florida State. They want to line up, they want to play football, play, hey, your guys versus our guys. That's when our offensive line, we've had success all year. Kind of, we were talking about it today, rose up to the challenge, irregardless of who we were going against, whether that was a big challenge, in the sense of the personnel we were playing, the team we were playing, like playing Texas A&M, you're playing Clemson, good football teams. Or you got to maintain a certain style of play, a standard of play when you're maybe playing a lower level like a Bethune-Cookman or whatnot. And we've, talked about it every week. We've risen to the challenge, whatever that occasion may be, on a weekly basis. And we got extreme confidence in ourselves and in Coach Mirabal and Coach Dawson. And I know from an offensive line perspective, we're ready to play anybody.
Next, we'll go to Adam Lichtenstein for the Sun Sentinel. Adam.
Hey, Matt. How's it going?
Good.
So you mentioned a minute ago about, picking guys up when they're down. Obviously, Tyler struggled the last couple of weeks. How have you guys been working on building his confidence, picking him up while he's down and blocking out the noise from like social media and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, and I don't know how everyone reacts to social media. I think Tyler's a mature and experienced enough individual that, regardless of what he may see on social media, is not gonna bother him because he's been a quarterback for a long time, and especially at that position, you got to be able to push that shit out of the way. But when it comes to us, especially older guys on the team that have more experience, more leadership, whatnot, it's just whatever it may be, making sure that he's good in a good mental headspace, trying to put him, whether it's on the field, locker room, whatever it may be, especially when we're out at practice, in the best headspace he can be in, the most we can help him prepare, right? So whatever it may be on the field, a certain play, we got to make sure us 5, talking about offensive line and the running back and receivers and tight ends, we're all on a great mental page, right? To take however much off of the quarterback that we can. And that's indifferent of where you're at, who you're playing, who's at quarterback. It doesn't matter. You're gonna do that to try to help your quarterback out, just because that's such a mentally demanding, hard position. Probably the hardest thing to do in sports is play quarterback. But all of our quarterbacks are on the same page, and they're all working every single day, compete and whatnot, and it's been a good week.
We'll wrap up today with Susan Miller, Doug and Susan.
Thanks, Josh. Matt, the recruiting aspect of this game, how important? Again, you're an older guy, more mature. What kind of difference do you think it makes when these recruits, that a lot of them are picking, or some of them, between UM and FSU and stuff? How big is a game like this, or is it not?
No, I mean, I'm not super in touch with the recruiting world especially given that I've been out of high school for 4 or 5 years, whatever it is now.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, a rivalry game like Florida State versus Miami does have an impact in recruiting, especially how many recruits that FSU and UM are competing with kind of on a daily basis, a yearly basis. You know, they're kind of going towards the same guys in Florida, going for the same type of talent. Both are heralded programs that have, you know, success and that recruits want to go to. That they field really good recruiting classes on both sides, both us and Florida State. So there is definitely a factor that plays into that. You know, I don't know if that will come to fruition for anybody, regardless of whatever happens on Saturday, but I'm sure there's something that goes into that.
Good. I like the Purple Rain shirt. We just asked Matt kind of the similar question, but just, you know, looking at FSU's defense, obviously they have a very talented defensive front. Just what have you seen from them on film?
Yeah, man. I mean, the defensive front is one of the main things, you know, main reasons why they're number 4 in the country this year. Very talented group, very deep group, great rotation. You see everything from those guys, and this is one of those games that you got to be prepared, you know, mentally, physically, and just for anything that comes your way from that front. But definitely talented front, a lot of guys who are going to make an impact not only at Florida State but at the next level, and we see it as a great challenge.
And obviously at Alabama, you played in some big rivalry games. The Iron Bowl obviously comes to mind. Just what's your favorite part about playing in big games like this?
Yeah, man. My most favorite thing about playing these games is that it means more to everybody, you know, and I don't mean like, you know, not just the people in here working every day, but like the entire city, like and the entire city of Tallahassee as well. You know, everybody, you know, cares about this game. This is one of the most prestigious rivalries ever known in college football, and I mean, it's honestly just a privilege and an honor to be able to participate in it. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited to get my first taste of Dope Walker and this experience, you know, all the tradition that's going into this game.
Did you have to get a crash course in like Miami FSU history, memorize wide right, wide left, and everything?
Nah, it was short and simple. We don't like them. They don't like us.
Next, we'll go to Susan Miller-Degnan at the Miami Herald. Susan?
Hey, Javion.
Hey, Susan.
Did you have, you know, when you were at Alabama, did you even have a perspective on the UM-FSU rivalry? I know it's a big game. You know, when you were a kid, did you watch it? Did you ever even think about it?
Yeah, personally, no. No, I've always been like SEC kind of guy. Never really knew that much about. I actually didn't know it was that much of a rivalry until I got here, because I was, you know, big SEC guy. But I mean, obviously talking with my teammates, my coaches, and various people around the city, you understand, you know, how deeply tied this is. And of course, watching the documentaries and everything, you get to really experience, you know, where it all started and how it's came about to be today. And I understand this is very important to not only, you know, our head coach, who is a former player here, and everybody on this team that's been waiting to beat Florida State, you know, just to give them a good game, but to everybody in this city, and as well as their city as well. You know, it's important to them to beat us as well. So yeah, I've really learned a lot about this over the past couple of weeks, months.
That's cool that you play in 2 rivalry games, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
And also, I've been asking the guys this about recruiting. How big do you think a game like this is for the guys, you know, from in-state and who are thinking about UM, maybe FSU? What kind of effect does the actual game have on their decisions?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would take, you know, they would take this into consideration. Of course, I mean, you watch 2 of the top programs in the state go against each other, and knowing that this is, you know, that kind of rivalry, you want to see how they perform and which coaching staff handles themselves the best, which team prepares the most, and how, you know, the outcome lays itself out. So I definitely think that a lot of recruits are paying attention to this game, especially knowing that, you know, it's this in-state, and state of Florida has so much talent. So I'm pretty sure a lot of those guys want to stay home, and maybe these 2 schools are, you know, on top of their list, their biggest decisions. So just hope we give them a show.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hey, Jared. Just want to get your thoughts on the Florida State-Miami series and sort of the team mentality heading into the game.
Every year, I mean, I say every year, every semester, sorry. Every week we come in with a mentality of winning 1-0, being 1-0 for the week. And it's just another game. It's a rivalry game. We're excited to play. They got us last year. They're a good team this year, but we're just focused on winning the game, finding a way on winning the game.
We'll go to Adam Lichtenstein from the Sun Sentinel. Adam?
Hey, sorry about that. So yeah, obviously, like you said, they got you last year. One play they really got you with was counter runs. Just what have you guys been working on to try to defend against those this year?
I mean, I feel like since we lost Najee and Akeem, those are the big parts of our defensive line. I feel like the people that needed to step up stepped up and have been making plays and stopping the run through the course of the year. So I think we're gonna do fine against the run. That's our main focus every week is stopping the run. But I think this week we're gonna stop the run, especially the counter.
Our next question comes from Susan Miller-Degnan of the Miami Herald. Susan?
Hey, Jared. Who are some of the guys that present the biggest challenges, or the parts of their team, of their offense? What can you talk about that a little bit about FSU?
I would say obviously the quarterback Jordan Travis, and their running back number 3. There's a few offensive skill guys that present a problem, like the skill players, but the offensive line is very good. They're a very good team. So everybody presents a problem. It's just finding a way to be 1-0.
You've played in Tallahassee before?
Yes, I have.
Yes. What was the atmosphere like, Jared, that you recall?
It was exhilarating. It was nice. It was loud. You couldn't hear anything. The fans was right upon you. It's a great place to play football.
And the rivalry games, what makes them so special? I mean, obviously they're big games.
I just think just competing, competing against the other team, other school, and just that's it. I feel like the players that actually find that play don't actually really focus on that. They focus on trying to win the game. To be honest.
Cool. Thank you.
Anything else this morning for Jared?
Yeah, Jared, you mentioned Jordan Travis. Obviously, he's very talented. Just what difficulties does he present, particularly with his ability to run?
He has the ability to extend plays, so we have to find a way to get him on the ground, and get him in 3rd and long situations, and just get off the field. So,
hey, I know that, obviously you played at Washington State, and that's far away. But I also know you guys had the Apple Cup rivalry game. And a couple questions on rivalries. Did you have a previous perspective on the FSU rivalry? Did you ever think of it? You were very far away. Did you ever watch it growing up? That's my first question.
I mean, FSU and Miami have been a rivalry game been going on for a long time, and of course I know about it. And just by coming here and getting to, really study and going to this game, it just gets me fired up. I'm excited for this opportunity, and it's a big game. I mean, everybody knows about this game, and it's going to be an exciting environment to go in and play at. So, yeah.
Okay, and then the next thing is the Apple Cup. What was that like? How many did you play in, and some memories of the game, the feeling of it, the atmosphere, the crowd?
Yeah, I mean, I played 2 Apple Cup. The first year we won, and the second year we lost. And it's just those games are just special. Like everybody got it marked on their calendar, and it's something about rivalry games just gets people fired up. And it was just an exciting moment for me, and it's a special game. That's all I could say. I mean,
it must be a little different for Francis, I should say, because he's a freshman, so he hasn't had that experience. Is he super excited too for this one?
Yeah, I think he's excited for this opportunity. I mean, he came on his visits too. He told me about how the atmosphere, it was electrifying, and he said this is the game he want to be in, and I know he's super excited to play at this game.
Last year he came to this one. You mean one at one at UM? And the last question is, I've been asking everybody, how important are these, like this game in particular and rivalry games, as far as recruits, like you're saying, all these big time recruits come. How much effect do you think it has possibly on their decisions?
I mean, everybody's different. People got different perspectives on, on how they approach going into what school they want to go into, and all we got to do is just perform. That's out of our control, but we just gotta play our game and keep our minds focused, and know if things falls in place for us, it falls in place, and if it doesn't, God-given talents, they made up their own mind, but that's out of our control. We're just gonna perform at our standards.
Thanks, Kiko.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Adam Lichtenstein from the Sun Sentinel. Adam.
Hey, Kiko, how's it going?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. So last year, I know you weren't on the team last year, but FSU ran counter runs over and over and over again, and it worked really well for them. How have you guys prepped? I mean, obviously, you don't have to give away any kind of game plan or anything, but like, how have you guys prepped for their running game in general, and specifically for counter runs?
This team is a very talented team. They got a really good O-line, and they got a really talented core running backs, and they got a quarterback that can run too. And our defense, we emphasize, running game, and that we take pride in that. And coming into this game, we're they do runs like well the season, and we just gotta fit our gaps, do our own thing, do what the coaches are, teaching us, and we'll game plan around it. So yeah.
Our next question comes from Matt Stradell at CaneSport. Matt.
Yeah, hey Kiko. So, at Florida State, they have a scrambling quarterback, a pass-catching running back, two tight ends that catch passes. I know that as linebackers, you guys have to deal with a lot of that in addition to the safeties. Is this a different, more unique challenge than you guys have faced in terms of being a linebacker, having all these multitude of weapons on an opposing team?
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, FSU got a really good, like I said, got a really good offense. They got tight ends that can run, block, and can pass and go out for routes. They got running backs that could run the ball and go out for pass too. And they got a quarterback that can use his feet when he has to. And that's something we take into consideration on their strength. And we just got a game plan. We got really good talent on our defense too, and we're excited for the challenge, and just can't wait for the game to come. So yeah.